welcome. Happy Friday, Svetan Patak. I'm Sarah of Expat in Croatia, and this is 5 Question Friday. Every Friday at 5 o'clock Croatia time, I answer 5 questions about Croatia from people who have sent them in on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, expatinCroatia.com, email, my consulting sessions, Cam's consulting sessions, and the stuff the fortune teller tells me. So, hey, how's it going? How was your week? I am sitting in the aftermath of Thanksgiving, which is my favorite holiday of the year. And I hosted a dinner here yesterday, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. The food was delicious. I made lots of things. And today I've not been capable of cleaning up this disaster. It looks like Motley Crue rolled through here. But that's okay, because it was a great time. What else do I want to say about that? Nothing, I guess. It was great. I love introducing people to Thanksgiving. And I think there were about four or five people here last night who had never experienced Thanksgiving before. And that was pretty cool. Because who doesn't like Thanksgiving? I mean, families don't, because there's arguments and stuff. But when you get to have friends here, it's a great time, and it's a huge melding of worlds that otherwise would not collide. And it's I really look forward to it. So I haven't done it since 2019. This is the first time in my new house, my first time since then, and it was a real joy. I've got 5 great questions for you today, so let's go ahead and get down to it, shall we? Nice selection. I feel like we're starting to get a lot more of a wide range of questions, ones that we haven't gotten before, and that's super exciting. So this first one came from Joan on the 5 Question Friday forum. So she would like to spend more time in Croatia but cannot move here. I found a site, workaway.info, that connects hosts with volunteers around the world, including in Croatia, for short-term volunteerships. If selected, a volunteer can spend several weeks with a nonprofit, individual, or a family helping them with gardening, teaching, caring for animals, etc., in exchange for room and board, plus the language and culture experience, which you would no doubt get. It seems perfect for someone like me to get an annual Croatia fix, but what advice do you have for Americans volunteering short-term in Croatia? Thank you. Well, Joan, first I want to say that a nonprofit in Croatia is called an udruga. We do have a post on udruga. We have lots of posts about udruga. So I would say first find an udruga that aligns with your values. And if you have no idea where to start, we have a multitude of guides that go over worthy udruga doing very, very good work across Croatia. We have a guide with a list of udruga in Zagreb, one for Rijeka, one for Split, and then we have another list of udruga that specifically focus on women's rights. So that will give you a place to get started. Or you can ask your neighbors or any Croatians who are around where you're living and say, hey, do you know of a worthy place to volunteer? And that's a great place to get started. Second, I would say, if you email them and they don't get back to you immediately, do not take it personal. A lot of the udruga, they are understaffed. So if they don't have the bandwidth to reply to your email, they may not even have the bandwidth they may not have enough staff to even manage volunteers. So don't get offended if they don't want your help, because that requires some kind of management on their part to have a volunteer, And if you don't speak Croatian, that is an extra layer of complexity. So there are lots of udruga that are looking for foreign volunteers. They accept foreign volunteers. But just know that you may run into some of those roadblocks, but don't get discouraged. Just keep knocking on doors until you find something that is a good match for you as well as the udruga. So like I said, we have volunteering guides for Split, Zagreb, and Rijeka, and one focus on female rights. So if you would like any of that information, just send us a DM and Cam will shoot you over those guides for whatever it is that you need. Thank you so much, Joan. This next question comes from either Jan or Jan, I don't know. Could be either. Here on Instagram, why do they ring the bells for so long in the morning here? We live in Spinut and the bells are quite intense. This is the first time that we have gotten a question about church bells, and I love it. Oh, I was so excited when I read this answer. Okay, so Spinut is a neighborhood here in Split. I mean, I assume this person is in Split. It's entirely possible that there's a neighborhood called Spinut somewhere else in Croatia. I don't know. But the one I know of is in Split. So that's what I am guessing. Yeah, if you live close enough to a church, I imagine that the bells can be quite intense. I don't have one that's like next to my house, but they're far enough away where it's quite lovely, and I enjoy the sound of it. So Cam spoke to a parishioner in her village up near Yaska and got an official schedule for church bell ringing. So here it is, guys, in case you didn't already know this. The bell is rung 3 times a day, 7 a.m., 12 p.m., and 7 p.m. The angelic greeting, the angel of the Lord, announced to Mary, and she received by the Holy Spirit. There is usually a different bell on weekdays and Sundays and holidays. The bell is rung 3 times before Sunday or holiday masses, an hour before Mass, half an hour, and 10 minutes before Mass. The bell is rung half an hour before on weekdays if there is a Mass or rosary. And the bell is rung for a deceased, get this, if a man died 3 times, if a woman died twice. Yes, Katarina, yes. Also rung when someone dies, or if someone's born in the town, that's cool. I like the idea of that, ringing a bell when somebody's born. That's cool. Yeah. In general, there are several bells that ring. There's a rule for how many bells are rung and for what they are rung for, at what tone, and at what time. So there is some forethought there. If you're next to a church and it's bothering you, that stinks. Hopefully it'll be like when you live near train tracks and eventually it just becomes background noise. You just don't even hear it anymore. I wish that for you. All right, next is Loretta. This was on the 5 Question Friday forum. I'm in the process of gathering documents to apply from California for a Croatian passport, hoping to gain assistance from Expat in Croatia to complete. We would be more than happy to do so. The agent I've been working with since May 2023 informed me just now that I must submit what paperwork I have by December 31st, 2023. Is this correct? Okay, first I want to make a clarification here. So you have applying for citizenship and you have applying for the passport. Those are 2 different things. They're 2 different procedures, and you have to do citizenship first. And even once you get the citizenship, there's a few steps you have to do before you can qualify to apply for a passport. So I want to make sure that that's clear. Based on the context clues of what Loretta has shared, I presume when she says applying for a passport, I'm guessing that she means citizenship. That would be my guess. So let's work off that assumption. No, there is no deadline. There was a deadline for adult children of Croatians, and that deadline was last year. Actually, the first deadline was the end of 2021, and then they extended it for another year to the end of 2022. But there's not a deadline now. So the only guess I can make here is that maybe they're referring to 6 months from the date of issue on her documents, possibly, because all of your documents need to be less than 6 months old. There is a rumor that some consulates and some MUP officials are unofficially saying that they will accept birth records and marriage certificates that are up to 1 year old. But I'm cautioning you by saying that this is unofficial. And whenever you have something that's unofficial, that means it's up to the discretion of the person that you're talking to. Even when it is official, it can be up to the discretion of the person that you're talking to. That is why the Croatian bureaucracy functions the way it does, is because every single person that you deal with, it's up to their discretion on how much they're going to do for you. and what the rules are, what the procedure looks like, and what documents they need, and in what order you have to get those documents, and how much information they provide you about what it is that you need to get and provide to them. So that's important to understand. Case in point, we had someone reach out to us this past week because I think it was the LA consulate, but don't quote me on that, told them that a spouse of a descendant, Croatian descendant, cannot apply for citizenship at the same time. That is malarkey. That is malarkey, and if it is the LA consulate, I can say that I have heard that the LA consulate has told someone else that before, but it is not correct. It is not correct. Ultimately, the consulate can say whatever they want, but it's not the consulate. It's not even, the consulate is under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and it's the Ministry of the Interior, MOP, that makes the decisions. And we do have an official decision that one of our lawyers obtained from MOP where they clearly state that a spouse of a descendant can apply at the same time. So if you get into a situation where you go to a consulate and they tell you that as a spouse you cannot apply, I would go with a lawyer. I mean, I would go with a lawyer anyways, but usually they're the only ones who can be effective with the consulates being like, look, this is the law. There's no indication in the law saying that they cannot apply at the same time. And here's a decision from MOP saying that you can apply at the same time. Why are you hassling these people? So our lawyers have had to do that a number of times with a number of different consulates on multiple continents. So I say that as it happens often. I know I've strayed from the point, so let me remind myself what the point was. Oh yeah, Loretta. So there's no deadline. I don't know what this consulate person's talking about, but it's probably just the 6 month is what I would assume, is that all your documents need to be less than 6 months old. Oh yes. Some are using discretion that it can be 1 year, but do not assume that that is the rule because it is all up to the person. So don't go back to the consulate and be like, Sarah of Expat Croatia said that I can turn in documents that are, 8 months old. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there are some officials who are accepting that in certain cases for certain kinds of documents. But there's nothing written in the law that guarantees you that right. So be prepared for that. Okay, so we have guides on all the different paths to citizenship, a guide to residence for descendants of Croatians who don't have citizenship yet, and then what to do after you obtain citizenship, what those next steps are to obtain your passport, your birth certificate, those kinds of things. And also if you'd like a lawyer to help you with your process, we can hook you up with one of those. Just send us a DM. I'm more than happy to do that. All right, I need to take a swig off my Yamita. So good. Which is a perfect segue into this next question. I'm so excited to get this question. It's the first time I've gotten it. This is from either Marina or Marina. I don't know. Here on Instagram. Oh, we got a message. Inspired by Indigo. I write poetry about Croatia in English. Check out my page and my article in Total Croatia News. Croatia is the most beautiful country in the world. Thank you for being here. Okay, so what are your favorite Croatian foods, snacks, dishes, and desserts since you have been living there? I'm happy to tell you I made a list. Okay, dishes. Number 1 is pašicada. That is like this kind of like a pot roast-esque beef dish that they make in Dalmatia with lots of red wine vinegar and wine and prunes and prošek. It's fantastic, and it's served with gnocchi. That's my favorite Croatian dish of all time. Second favorite, black risotto. I love black risotto. Anything with truffles, but usually I only have truffles when I go to Istria. So I'll go to Istria, I'll eat everything with truffles on it, because they're just giving them away up there. And then I eat so many truffles, I'm sick of truffles, and then I don't eat truffles again until I go back to Istria. And that way, I never get sick of them. It's a nice novelty. Especially, my favorite thing is this truffle omelet at my favorite restaurant on the face of this earth called Stari Podrum, which is in Momjan. It's close to the Slovenian border. They make this truffle omelet. They lightly scramble some eggs, and then they shave tons and tons of truffles on top, and then they drizzle it with local olive oil, and it's, you feel like a member of royalty eating that dish. It's so good. I look forward to it every year. I love pujene paprike, so stuffed peppers, which happens during summer. I love sarme, which is a dish in the winter. I love strukli, which is from the northern part of Croatia. You can do a million different things with flour and water, really. But strukli can be sweet or it can be savory. I like the just really classic salty, cheesy one. And I went to an event at Hotel Esplanade in Zagreb, and I was told by someone else at the event, like, you gotta try the strukli. It is the best strukli, and it is the best one I've ever had. I would eat that again. I love any kind of like goulash. I've tried bear goulash. I've had lots of deer, boar, and then regular old beef. Oh, and octopus. Yeah, all of those are delicious. There's a side dish. I don't know if it's Croatian or if it's Dalmatian, but there's this side dish called juvec, which reminds me of this thing that my mom would make when I was a kid. And it's like a rice and tomato sauce with like some vegetables in it, but I love it. Whenever I see it on the menu, I always ordered it. I love blitva. I eat blitva every day, and that's not a lie. I eat it for breakfast. I love blitva so much. And I really like it when they smash the potatoes into it with the olive oil. I love skradinski risotto. So that is a risotto that's made in the town of Skradin, which is about, like an hour from Split or something. And that is one of the first posts that I wrote about. I think I was in the first year, maybe 2013. I wrote a post about the Skradin risotto. So if you'd like that post, send us a DM. We'll send it over to you. But it's so delicious. It's like the unofficial title is the 12-hour risotto of Skradin. But they only make it for like special occasions. It's only made in big pots over the fire. And the men do it because it's over fire. So over fire, men, indoors, oven, women is what I've been told. So men just stand around this big pot and drink beer and make this risotto. So it starts by making a stock of rooster. And then they cook veal shank in it. And the veal shank like comes apart and it gets all stringy. And then they make the risotto and finish it with pog cheese. And it's glorious. It's really, really glorious. I haven't had it in some years. There's this one, there are a few restaurants in Skradin, which is a tiny village, but there are a few restaurants there that make it. And the one I like is La Cantinetta, but they only do it for groups. So if you want to try it, you have to call ahead and say, do you have any groups for Skradinski risotto? It's like anytime soon. And then they'll set aside some for your smaller party. So I need to do that because it's been way too long. It's such a special, special dish. Okay, what else did I write down? Veal pekka. I love veal pekka. I've had a few different pekkas now, and veal I've settled on is my favorite. I had octopus this year for the first time, and I liked it, but it was a lot of octopus. And I just really love the taste of, I love what the veal fat does to the potatoes and the carrots. It's real nice. Vegetables should always be soaked in animal fat. I hope that wasn't offensive to too many, but really, that's how I feel about it. Desserts, I know this isn't like traditionally Croatian, but to be honest, it's everywhere, so it kind of feels like it is. Tiramisu. I love tiramisu so much. My favorites are at Stari Podrum, that restaurant I mentioned in Istria and Momjan, Dvor, which is a restaurant here in Split, and Osh Kolac, which is a very nice cake place here in Split. On my birthday, they switch out their desserts from time to time, but when I went there on my birthday this year, they had a hazelnut tiramisu that will knock your socks off. Highly recommend it. Okay, what else? Gelato. I mean, come on. Gelato is amazing in Croatia. I like Emiliana's, which doesn't need any of my promotion because they've got a line down the street of 70 people like all the time. They just closed for season. And something that I love that they do every year is on the last day they're open, which is always a Sunday, they give away free ice cream. So you can just go up and get 2 scoops if you want, or 3 scoops or whatever it is. So I was in town this past Sunday when they did it. So I stood in the line with about like 50, 60 people from one end of the street to the other to wait for my free ice cream. But oh my gosh, I mean, they're not going to be back till March. What am I going to do? It was totally worth it. I got pistachio and chocolate and it was fabulous. Also, places that I love to get cakes. Biberon does really nice cakes. I mean, they have a lot of different locations around Split. I feel like they're expanding to other parts of the country. I don't know. But my favorite place, well, I have 2 favorite places that they have. So they have one bakery called Handmade. And someone brought this place to my attention last year, and I was like, oh my God, how did I not know this was here? But it's like a nice French bakery. They have savory goods, and then they have beautiful cakes and tarts and things. So I love going there. It's a nice atmosphere, and they do like half price, like after a certain time during the day, which is fabulous. And then they have a Biberon Cafe that is on like the 4th floor, I think, of the Mall of Split. And I love to write there because it has a giant terrace that overlooks the mountains. Yes, I know the sea is amazing, but so are the mountains. And it's an amazing view up there. So it's a really great spot. I also like Cookie Lab on Bochvitsa. Cookie Lab is good. Although I heard that they just changed, it got sold to somebody else. So I don't know how that's going to affect what they offer, but Cookie Lab has always been historically awesome. How can you not like prosciutto and sir? I mean, I'm obsessed. Crash chocolate covered Napolitanka rocks my world. I love the candied orange peel that they make down here in Dalmatia. I'm giving you the full list, by the way. She asked like all the different things. I'm giving you the full list. All right, now this is just my miscellaneous list. I love pork neck. I never thought that pork neck was going to be a thing that I love. I actually make tacos out of it. It's fantastic. Milleram, which is some kind of crazy dairy product that I've never heard of before I got here, but it's like a combination of like labna and Greek yogurt and sour cream, and you can use it for anything. Anything that you use yogurt or sour cream or cream cheese for, you can use it. It's fantastic. I love it. The pickled seaweed, which grows on rocks here, is fabulous. I love the capers from the islands. The fact that bay leaves are everywhere, so I'll put them in any kind of soup or stew or stock. I love Pippi. I love Coq de Blonde. I love Yamnitsa. I love Rakia. I have a collection now, which you can't see. Actually, maybe I'll show you kind of a little bit, but this is my Rakia collection now. It's getting pretty extensive. And I dig it. I dig it a lot. What else? Oh yeah, I love the produce. The produce, I mean, there's stuff that's in season all the time, but I love the asparagus and the strawberries and zucchinis in spring, the peaches and cherries during the summer, mushrooms and butternut squash in the fall. I always make my pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving with butternut squash because it's so good here. Oh my God, so good here. I love the mandarins and the lemons in winter, and then blitva spinach also in the winter can be pretty good. Like just the tastiest. It's like candy somehow. We do have a guide on how to properly shop at the farmers markets, which is called something different depending on what part of the country you're in. It could be Pazar, which is kind of down here in Dalmatia, or Tržnica, or Platz, but the market, wherever the market is. So we kind of break down some local tips so you can not get overcharged and develop relationships and know what's in season when it's, because some stuff, until you're here for a while, like it's hard to pick out what's clearly imported and what's not imported. And usually, like, let's take strawberries, for example. Whenever something new is in season, the first round that you get is never from Croatia. It's always from like Spain or Italy or something. and it looks different than what you would have in Croatia. So you don't get that first line. Like when strawberries come out and they're kind of like these big fat ones, those are clearly imported. But then you just wait like a week, 10 days, something like that, and then you start getting the ones from Vrgorac, which are the smaller ones that are super, super tasty. Although they had a bad year this past year because all of the rain. So we'll see next year. But anyways, the guide goes into all of that. So if you would like that, send us a DM. All right. Last question. So this is a question that I previewed last Friday. Okay. So I met a woman at a Foreign Business Owners Association meeting a couple months back. She had learned folklore from Cam, one of my colleagues. And she asked me 2 questions. She said, what was the most challenging thing about building Expat in Croatia? And what's the best thing about doing Expat in Croatia? So last week, I talked about the challenges. This week, I'm talking about the best thing. So when she, again, never been asked this before, so I was quite on the spot when she asked me. But the thing that immediately came to my mind is that most people that we talk to are really passionate about Croatia in some kind of respect. Either they are Croatian diaspora, and they want to reconnect with Croatia. They love Croatia, want to get to know Croatia in case maybe they don't have as much familiarity, whatever it is, like they have a positive draw. Okay. And then you have foreigners who they have heard about it, or they came here on a holiday, or this is a new adventure for them. They've never lived outside the country before, and Croatia is the first place that they're going to go. And for the most part, everyone's really excited. So it's most of the situations we're dealing with are super positive, and people are super happy, and you get to share this like really kind of rich journey with them. And that's amazing. I mean, look, if you're calling the electric company, you're not doing it to geek about electricity, Like, you're calling because you've got a problem. You know what I mean? And yes, we solve problems. Sometimes people come to us and they're in, like, not great situations, and we do what we can to help fix that. But for the most part, most of what we're doing is like, oh, you want to accomplish this thing. This is how to do it. This is how to have the most success and comfortability and simplicity as possible, And when you're dealing with happy people all day, that's a really big privilege. We love that. I mean, everyone on the team who interacts with the audience directly, with all of you directly, they all say the same thing to me. Like, yeah, I want to, take on new responsibilities, but I want to keep talking to people because that's what I really love doing the most. And you're the best. You're really, really the best. We are so honored and privileged by all of you who support us. We couldn't do it without you. If nobody was looking at us, if no one was reading anything, if no one was contacting us, we wouldn't be here. So it's a relationship. And we're invested in everybody that we talk to, even the people that we don't talk to, that never contact us for any reason, but are just out there kind of watching and reading. We're invested in everybody's success, no matter what. So that's the best thing. And I just would like to add a little additional anecdote from my own personal experience. So I've had quite a few Croatians at this point, once they've kind of figured out who I'm all about or what I'm all about, they say that, I or we like make them love Croatian more. This is from like native Croatians who've been here their whole lives. And that's an amazing thing to hear. To hear that Croatians who don't necessarily need any help, but they just enjoy the content because it makes them love Croatia more. I think that is amazing and warms my heart. And that's why we feel so lucky to do what we do. So I really want to thank her for asking that question and giving me an opportunity to share that with you. So that is it for this week. I don't know how high energy I was today. Yesterday, everyone left, and I was sitting here with one person, and I was like, oh my God, it must be like midnight. It was 8. It was 8 p.m. I was super glad that I moved Thanksgiving this time to like 2 p.m. with dinner at 4. That was the right call. That was the absolute right call. Because everyone has time to like go home and decompress and like digest. Because if you're not in pain, you're not doing it right. Well, I'm so glad I had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And you don't have to be an American to enjoy Thanksgiving. You just have to enjoy gluttony, really. Gluttony and good times. So that's it. Ooh. One more thing. I want to tell you about a project we're working on. I mean, we're working on a million projects, but this is like a small one that I can tell you about that I'm so super jazzed about. Years ago now, I reserved the name Expat in Croatia on Spotify because I was like, one day we're going to do something with this. And so right now, we are putting together a Expat in Croatia Spotify channel. It's going to be awesome. We're not making music, but we're going to share different themed playlists. So members of the staff are going to make their own Croatia playlist, but then we'll have themes for like different artists like Dino or Oliver or Sihomoto Pop or Josip Lisac or whatever. And then we'll have ones for like Christmas and football matches and birthday parties and weddings and those kinds of things. But if you're already familiar with Croatian music, then we would love to hear any of your suggestions that you have to add to those playlists. And if you're not familiar, then it would be a great way to get familiar with Croatian music. So you can kind of educate yourself on that. We do have a series on the site called Croatian Music Guide because it's a great way to kind of further be a part of the community and learn Croatian and learn about the culture when you learn about the music. Just because even if you don't necessarily understand the words, that does not mean you can't appreciate the music. Case in point, Oliver, when Oliver died, I went to the funeral procession on Riva. And at that time, I can't say that I was really super familiar with Oliver. Really, it happened after that. But there, I have this, thousands and thousands and thousands of people were on the Riva and Split. Thousands. And Torcida, youth, I guess, which is Torcida is a fan club of Hajduk. They were all in white shirts and they were lining both sides of Riva and they were holding their hands, just kind of outlining this path for Oliver. I mean, we stood there for about at least 3.5 hours waiting for this funeral procession to happen. Because the funeral was at Svetifrane and then they were going to carry him and his family down Riva, and then they went to the port and they boarded a naval ship, a Croatian naval ship that took him to Vela Luka on the island of Korčula, which is where he was buried. And there were tons and tons of boats. The whole harbor was filled with boats. Lots of private boats, and then all those private boats then followed him out, the naval ship, all the way out to Korčula. It was a significant event that we have written about. Why was I going down this path? I was going down this path for some reason. Oh, now I remember why. Sorry, I had to set some context so you can really kind of visualize. We do have some pictures from that event on the website, on the Oliver Guide. If you would like that, send us a DM. But the reason I mention it is because, so I wasn't super familiar at that time. I was there with a friend, and they were playing his music on a loudspeaker, and all of a sudden they switched songs, and it was this song. It sounded a cappella, and it was like the moment his voice came out, I got this knot in my throat. Like I just welled up immediately. Like I could just feel the emotion in this song, you know? I mean, people are quite fanatical for Oliver. So my point is, the reason I share that with you is to say that you can get attached and appreciate Croatian music without knowing what the lyrics are. And there are some Croatian artists that have songs in English as well. So that's something to keep in mind. So yeah, I'm glad, Fair Maiden, that you like the sound of this project. So once it's launched, we'll let you know, but it's going to happen pretty soon. I already built a bunch of playlists, and Tamara is helping me build out the rest of them. So probably by the end of the year, we'll be able to launch that channel. So you can go ahead and start following us on Spotify. Just search Expat Croatia, and it's there. It's live. It has playlists on it. And tell us what you think. And if you have any suggestions on songs we should add, send them on over. I know Cam will be super excited to hear whatever suggestions you have. That's it for this week. I'm going to go collapse in my den of filth. It was a good party. It was a really good party. So have a wonderful weekend. Have a good Friday night, and I will see you next Friday for another 5-Question Friday. Okay? Vidimo se, ciao!